I'm Jill Kargman. I'm a writer, actress, mom. So I have SPD, suburban panic disorder, because I don't know how to drive. And I feel very marooned anywhere outside the city. I'm not an outdoorsy person. I'm a very indoorsy person.
You grew up on the Upper East Side of New York. You've made a career basically of poking gentle fun at the world you grew up in. You're very close to the front lines of the super wealthy titans of the world. How do you keep yourself different? I mean, I guess you've always, you say you've always been a little different.
I wasn't at that level growing up. I mean, I lived in a nice rental apartment, but it was a rental and I didn't have a country house. In the 80s, even though it was this very decadent Gordon Gekko, greed is good time, there was a real embarrassment of riches. So the girls in my class who had drivers and limos, they asked to be dropped off 2 blocks away from school because it was embarrassing. Whereas now they're like pulling up with the driver in the SUV and they're flaunting logo bags and everything is really over the top and there's so much conspicuous consumption, and I find that really depressing.
Do you feel like the stock market being up or down has an impact on the Upper East Side? Can you tell?
Okay.
Just like at drop-off or walking around?
I can't tell at drop-off. There are women who will be like, well, we had a good year, so I got this necklace or something. It's not so much day-to-day at drop-off, but at the end of the year, you'll definitely see people like with a new diamond between their boobs. But there was one mom who I cannot stand, who is very always trying to be subtle about like their windfalls. And she said, oh, I'm working on my husband's Christmas present. I get him the same thing every year. I work so hard on it. And I said, oh, what is it? And she goes, well, of course I buy him everything, you know, for under the tree. But every year I hurry, starting after Thanksgiving, and I needlepoint a stock ticker of all his best stock picks for the year. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just swallowing vomit right now. You're so embarrassing.
Do you follow the stock market at all?
Not at all. No, I don't really care unless it's scandal. I like insider trading. That interests me.
Perfect.
I love like Wolf of Wall Street.
Madoff kind of stuff?
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Dark.
Dark. I think greed is always interesting.
What do you think the worst thing is about being rich? And I know like rich people problems, like, okay, they've got it great, but what's the worst part of it?
I think that the worst thing for some of the rich people that I see is that there's a depression where they don't have the aspiration to get rich because they're already rich, and then they still have holes in their lives and in their soul, and so they're depressed and there's nowhere to climb.
Who do you think you learn more from, your mom or your dad, when it comes to money?
Well, my dad always, you know, obsessed about like the value of $1 and that you can never waste it. And my mom also very, very frugal, and she, you know, kept all the checkbooks and everything was very organized, and they, both of them, I would say equally. But my dad, especially when I got to high school and college and was doing internships that I wasn't paid for, he would say, I just want you to know you didn't get this internship because you're so great. You got it because I picked up the phone to Liz Tilberis, and you're gonna be the first one there and the last one to leave. And I was like, Daddy, no one's there when I'm there. And he said, I don't care. You just sit there. When someone comes in, ask them if you can alphabetize their Rolodex. That's how old I am. And you be the last one to leave. And so sometimes, you know, everyone would be gone and there'd be someone there at 7:30, and I would say, do you need anything? And I would clean their desks or redo their file cabinet. But he just very much impressed upon me that work ethic is everything.
I mean, so you have written, what, 12 books? You've created a hit show. You've had a cabaret show.
Yes.
You do have a huge work drive in you.
You know, I'm gonna be honest, there's an ebb and flow. I feel like I am a sloth. Like I need 8 hours of sleep a night. I barely got out of bed yesterday. I was just like watching TV with my kids, but I don't know, like sometimes I get really ambitious and I want to do a million things and I'm so productive, and then I don't know, I just like get lazy.
On your show, hit scripted show that was on Bravo, Odd Mom Out, would you say it's like a satirical version of your own life?
Yeah, it's sort of me when I was 28 though. I felt very vulnerable as a new mom, and I felt like I was being judged for not doing everything that all these like moms do. I didn't have like mosquito netting over my Silver Cross $1,200 carriage. You know, I just did it my own way.
The show, you had 3 seasons.
Yes.
And but the stories keep coming, really.
I
You
know,
could have
I'm
gone
really sad
like
we were canceled.
10 more.
30. I could have done Odd Grandma Out. I have grandma stories. Yeah, I could have kept going and going.
So give us a couple nuggets that could maybe have made it in to like
Okay,
4.
well, I really wanted a season 4 because I wanted to do the bar mitzvah year, and I'm a proud Jew, but something I get a little cringed out is that the bar mitzvahs can be really over the top, and they're spending a fortune celebrating these kids, and it just gets really lavish. And so I would have loved to do a whole season about that, kind of ending with my daughter Hazel's bat mitzvah, which I've learned, you know, money doesn't buy soul. I've been to $2 million parties that somehow feel stilted and not the same as like just we're all in some pizza joint with a DJ and everyone's dancing all night and it's so much fun. I just think you can't, you know, buy fun.
Before we move on to the speed round, I realized I missed one question because I wanted to get your dad, president and COO of Chanel. He was an advertising executive, but he was also a stand-up comedian.
Yes. He couldn't, his father would never let him be a comedian. He kind of did it during Columbia Business School, and his father made it clear that he would not accept that career, so he gave it up. And I think he used his humor to ascend the ranks professionally, first at Doyle Dane Bernbach as, you know, COO there, and then he was poached by Chanel to go run that company. And I do think the owners of Chanel loved his sense of humor, so it still came into play, along with his business acumen. Obviously, they're not just going to like hire a comedian, but I think that he used it as a great tool throughout his career.
And I didn't realize that you also worked in advertising a little bit.
Yes, I was a copywriter. I wrote like maxi pad stuff.
And
there was one for like when women laugh and they pee a little bit, and the tagline was "You're in the clear."
I'm
Thank
buying
you very
it.
much. Yeah, Ogilvy.
So talk about going and doing that, because I mean, why did you end up there?
You know what's funny? It's a great lesson for anybody who feels like they're doing sort of a boring job that they don't think will lead anywhere. I was between books, and this job kind of fell in my lap to do this writing, and it felt like something that was just to keep my brain going and get money, but also just to not put my brain on ice. And that's what led to Odd Mom Out, because I met the producer of my show there, Daniel Rosenberg. I feel like sometimes you can go off your path and you don't see the forest through the trees because it doesn't feel like a natural stepping stone that will pay off. And sometimes it's that very weird stepping stone that actually, in fact, gets you where you want to go.
Okay, speed round. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Saver or spender?
Saver.
Impulse buyer or agonizer?
Impulse buyer.
Stock market or farmer's market?
Farmer's market.
If you could design a new $1 bill, who would you put on it?
RBG.
In the game Monopoly, what is your favorite piece?
The car, like the old-fashioned car.
Your favorite property?
Boardwalk. I mean, it's the most expensive.
So this next one we might need an assist, but how much cash do you think you have on you today?
I think I have like $22.
Can we see your wallet?
Yeah, I think I have an I always generally have an...
I usually literally have no cash, so we love
Oh,
to see.
I usually have an emergency 20. Oh, but guess what I have?
Oh.
I have 10 pounds.
Why? Were you just
Because I was in London, and I weirdly, this sounds crazy, I weirdly like carrying foreign currency because it makes me feel like James Bond. Okay, here, I was wrong. I spent my emergency 20, and so I only have 2.
$2.
Is that 2? They're crinkly.
Okay.
3.
Oh, $3.
3.
So
I usually have a 20, an emergency 20 in the back, and I now realize that I needed it for an ice cream.
So now your emergency will hopefully
I
be a
replenish,
$3 emergency.
I replenish it. Luckily, everyone takes credit cards now. Pretty much, it's just the icy man. And you know what's really funny? I have a tidbit for you.
Yeah, I'm ready.
The Queen does not carry money, ever.
At all?
Even though her face is on it.
So when we
See, I'd be like, there's my face on the money. She does not carry money because that's for the little people.
So when we do this with her,
Yeah.
I'll make sure not to ask her.
Don't ask her.
What's the most important thing someone taught you about money?
I like save a third, spend a third, give away a third.
Do you try and do that with your kids?
Yes, it totally makes sense, and it teaches them about giving because otherwise they'll forget.